Just a reminder, today's conference is
celebrating the holidays, tele-workshop by the Alzheimer Society of BC.
Today's agenda is looking at a few things that you can do to make the holidays hopefully a little bit easier for yourself and for the person with dementia. We'll look at adapting traditions, how and where to arrange visiting, involving the person with dementia as much as possible, and giving wise, hopefully useful gifts. Now, the holidays are probably the most stressful time of year for any of us. Despite the fact that it's often a wonderful time of year, there's so much to do. It's a difficult time. Now, if you add caregiving to the holidays, equation equals overwhelming. Add dementia to the holidays, overwhelming as well. There's a lot to take care of with this. Managing good and bad stress is a challenge, and really emphasizing that even good stress can be tough on people. Having the grandchildren visit, that's maybe exactly what you want to do, but it's a change of routine, it's noise, it's activity, and it can be stressful.
So it's a good thing, but it's also stressful.
Yeah.
The good stress. Okay. So Christmas is the time for giving, and for Santa it's giving you a headache. Adjust your expectations. This is probably key in terms of taking care of yourself and taking care of the person with dementia and minimizing the stress. So, as you were saying, the more stress, the less the person with dementia will function. The same way to us too. When we're under stress, our level of functioning is lower. So, key to do that is reduce stress, and one way to do that is actually to adapt a tradition. The thing that we used to do for a long time. Now is the time to adapt and maybe let go of them and make new tradition, as you suggested last time. We have an example of every holiday, and it was always the patriarch would be at the end of the table and would be curving the turkey or the ham. And now if that person has dementia, the stress of doing that, to be in that situation, might not be the best, so maybe it's time to change tradition. So consider what is the most important when you do this thing, and the most important for most people is actually to get together with families and friends.
The people.
People, yeah. It's not the food, it's not the gift, it's not the decoration. Think also of the person with dementia, how they're going to be affected by all of this. And the person does not necessarily have to be there at every function. That's a tough one, I think, for caregiver in particular, and that's where the guilt gets triggered very easily. How can we leave Grandpa, or my dad, and my uncle on the side when we all get together because he liked it so much? And then the key is, how is he going to feel about it? Is he going to be stressed by the situation? Is it too many people? Is it too far away? Is it out of his schedule? So if it's something that he can enjoy, that's great. But likely, too many things, it's probably too much for him. And maybe the best we can do for him is actually to invite him to some of the function, but not necessarily all of the function. Then you visit wisely, early in the day.
Not too early.
Too early, yeah. Okay. So early for Jan is 8 o'clock. For me, it's 10:30. So what's the best time of the day for the person? And some people will be after lunch or depending on the person with dementia. So if you plan your visit when they're the highest level of functioning, that's where you're going to have the best result. A lot more time between visits. We have this tendency to have this space at Christmas and the other holiday, and we have the Christmas party and the exchange with family and friends. It's one thing after the other. With the person with dementia, that doesn't work. We need to pace those things. We need to have shorter visit, quieter visit, smaller gathering. The more people, the more stress, the lower the functioning of the person with dementia. And again, just to reiterate, people with dementia are more affected by stress than we are. And also you're really going to see a change in level of behavior and a symptom coming up that maybe you didn't see before because now the stress is too much.
It seems like they're deteriorating over Christmas because there is so much stress, and that's hopefully just a short-term deterioration.
That's right. Also, a good trick is to use a quiet room. So if you're someplace where this is available, and it could be just a room on the side, or if you're sitting at home and there's one bedroom that you can use, or the kitchen where if nobody's using it, and you can visit the person with dementia with a few people in that quiet room, and the person might be comfortable in a good chair, and then other people get out of the room, and other people come in, and 2 or 3 other people, and they can visit. So even if there's 10 or 15 people in the main room, the person with dementia is not overwhelmed. we can still visit with them.
Trick is to try and minimize confusion for the person with dementia, to a large degree for the caregiver as well, because it's just so much swirling around, and when you're adding caregiving to all the other Christmas duties, it can be very overwhelming. So try and keep daily changes to a minimum. Respect the person's daily routine. Try and, as much as possible, keep meal times, bedtime, nap time, walk times, activity times pretty close to when they would normally be. And then you can fit the holiday activities into the walk times and the activity times as much as you can do it. This might entail a change to the traditions right there, because perhaps you're used to having Christmas dinner at 9 o'clock at night, and this just might not fly under the circumstances. But adapting that to minimize confusion and trying not to disturb the person's environment too much. Christmas decorations come into this, particularly if you're the sort of person that, just loves having tons of Christmas decorations. You want to keep some of that probably, but if you're really kind of changing the home with your Christmas decorations, this can be very confusing to the person with dementia. For example, if you tend to move the furniture around in the living room to accommodate a big tree, this can be really disorienting. So you want to do it in such a way that they're still going to feel like this is home.
And that's the thing with Christmas decoration. If you have a few, it helps the person orient themselves in the season. If you have too much, it's overwhelming.
Yeah. So take the lead, or be prepared and be graceful in taking the lead from the person who is the closest caregiver to the person. Sometimes that's hard to do if we're coming into town from somewhere else. You know, we feel, well, it's my father too, and we don't necessarily want to take suggestions from the people that are there. If you are the closest caregiver, suggest changes to your family that might make this easier. Clarify expectations that are reasonable to have of the person with dementia, and expectations of you. There's only so much you can do. Educate the family if necessary and if possible. Sometimes it's difficult. People are holding on to a vision of how the person with dementia was, and they don't want to accommodate the changes. But at the very least, you can demonstrate. You can lead by example. Let little children in on the secret. Prepare them for what they're going to be dealing with. They may be wonderful with Grandpa, but they may get a little nervous with some of the things he's saying. He may forget their name. He may be repeating himself over and over again, and this might be confusing and a little scary for kids. So prepare them for this so they understand. And suggest gift ideas for the person. If you're the closest caregiver, you have a sense of what would work and what wouldn't. And being kind to the person with dementia is being kind to the gift giver to suggest things that will be that will work well for the person with dementia.
Simplify. Keep preparation to a minimum. Simplify meal. Use paper plate and napkins. Even plastic utensil. Probably not with a person with dementia, just because they're hard to hold. But the less you have to do, the more you can focus on people and maybe enjoying the time you have to. Can remind me one Christmas, my grandmother, which is a great cook, she decided to go with KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and everyone was a bit surprised, and the kids we loved it. So it was a great way for her, and she was probably overwhelmed or she was tired or something, but we all got together and it worked anyway. So ask for help. Excuse me. A lot of people say, what can I do? Well, Christmas time is the perfect time, so potluck meal. Everyone contribute a little bit. Help with setting up the room, the cleaning, the before or after. Spending time with the person. If they spend time with the person with dementia, you can actually focus on something else, or even better, you can actually take a little break because you're going to need it during the holiday. Reminisce together is one thing about Christmas and other holidays is people get together and we talk about the past. You remember, we're talking about
perfect for someone with dementia.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's where they're good at. So even if the dementia is fairly advanced, like at the middle stage, long-term memory is so good that they can talk about Christmas or the holiday that they had when they were a kid and how they celebrate. So they all work together well, and it's a great way, as you say, we need to involve them. It's a good way to involve them. Using props like a photo album, seasonal music that they can relate to. Favorite ornament, you have one ornament, that's always, and that's an easy one to do. Think about stimulating the person's five senses of all the things that's going to happen, all the losses. The five senses are the last something that's going to go, so including smell, and can smell now, that's typical Christmas smell. It could be cinnamon or something like that, and touching the smell of a cone, and so keep those in mind.
And when you're talking about sharing memories, old memories, remembering, too, that you're making new memories this Christmas.
Yep.
And so the person with dementia will have a hard time recalling those. But you can help him or her by pulling out the old Polaroid camera, getting your digital camera out, and having perhaps a digital frame set up in the living room so that you can see what the family did together yesterday, even if the person can't recall it.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And involve the person with dementia as much as possible. Depending on the stage that he or she is at, there are still things that they can do to help out. They can peel potatoes. They can perhaps play some simple games with the children, walk the dog, that kind of thing. So pull them in, helping with the meal, involve them in conversation, focus on their remaining abilities. We often get caught up in what they can't do, and when people will come in from out of town or people that haven't seen the person for a while, often the focus is on, oh my goodness, Dad can't do this and he can't do that.
That's all they see.
Yeah. They forget that there's still things very much there that he can do to contribute and to be a part of this. And try with all of this to keep a balance between quiet time and stimulation. You want the person to be able to function at their optimum, and this is one way to at least work towards that.
And they're likely going to need a bit more quiet time just because there's more stimulation than usual.
And gift giving. Keep gifts simple, practical. Again, remember, consider their remaining abilities and the symptoms of the disease. Some elaborate electronics might intrigue you, but they will totally mystify the person with dementia and ultimately frustrate them. And it's a waste of money, plus ultimately quite hurtful to the person with dementia when they're faced with something that they just can't make any sense of. Also, probably not a good idea to have all the gifts being things that remind them of the fact that they're losing their memory. You know, we've got this little memory device and that little memory device and brain gem and all sorts of things that are just this reminder that you're losing your memory. Probably this isn't the best time to do this. Things you might want to look at, CDs of the old music they used to like, photo albums, hand lotion, particularly as the disease progresses, being able to sit down, rub nice smells into their hands, have touch that is not practical or medical touch, and hand lotion is good for that. It fosters connection and just loving touch as opposed to those other utilitarian kinds of things that often are what we end up doing with people.
We're talking about activity that people can do with a person with dementia, so even kids can rub lotion on grandma's hand, and it's a nice way to visit.
Yep.
So think about safety during the holiday, especially if you're moving a person from one house to the other to come and visit you or visit them. Tripping hazard, the extension cord everywhere because there's electricity and all the decoration. The stairs, especially if they're not used to them. Even the decoration itself, like the small ornament, but even the big one. It sounds a bit silly, but think about hard candies or plastic fruit decoration, like a plastic grape that looks like a real thing, and people can choke on that. It just takes them a while to realize that it's not a real thing. Do not leave the person next to fireplace, burning candles, space heater, and I think sometimes it just takes them more time to realize that this is too hot. They might put something on it. They might just get too close. They close might get on fire or something like that. So just to be aware of those things.
Or lose their balance and trip into them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, location. If the person lives in a care facility or if they live by themselves too, so try a short visit. If you want them to come to your place, for example, and do a trial and error kind of situation, so ahead of the holiday, so you don't want to put one more visit in there. But one more visit, they go to your place, and it's a 1 hour drive. See how it goes. If you want them to stay overnight, so maybe they can stay overnight on that trial period and see how it goes. If it doesn't go too well, and with the stress of the holiday, you'll have more people, that'll give you an indication that's likely it's going to be too much stress. Consider celebrating the holiday at the care facility, because that's an environment where they're very familiar with. The routine is going to be respected over there, so the stress level for them is going to be much easier, way less stress. Also, often the care facility, they offer activities, holiday activities, something that you can participate with them, and it's great to be with other people sometimes which are a bit like you, and then you don't have to compete
important piece, and that's as the caregiver, taking care of yourself. You will not be able to do everything you want to do, everything you feel you should do, or everything that you think others expect you to do. And sometimes that's part of it is we're just running 100 miles an hour because we think everybody else expects us to do something. Burnout is a real possibility here if you try and do that. It's a real possibility caregiving at the best of times. Over the holiday season becomes even more of a challenge. Enjoy the people and try not to worry about the details, whether it's dressing from a package or homemade dressing. Ultimately is not important. The fact that you're eating this dressing with people you care about, that's what's important. Try to not feel guilty. I always say guilt is Alzheimer's middle name, and somebody told me that it was the middle name and the last name because it really just rears its head so often. And there's so many things that we can ultimately start feeling guilty about because we just can't measure up. You will get sick if you keep pushing yourself in that direction. You won't be the best caregiver around anyway if you're getting sick, and you yourself are going to suffer. So it doesn't work for anybody. So ultimately, celebrating the holidays, simplify probably is the summary word. Adjust your expectations, plan visits wisely, keep changes to a minimum. Take the lead in showing other people in the family the most appropriate way to interact and to deal with the person with dementia. Reminisce together. Old memories are wonderful for the holidays. Encourage participation on the part of the person with dementia.
Keep gifts simple and useful, and we have a website on that if you want to look into it. Think about safety. Consider the location. What's the best place for the person with dementia to celebrate their holiday? Is it your place or is it their location? Is that where they live? Something to keep in mind. Ask for help. This is the time to ask for help to help you with that. Also, people say, what kind of gift would you like? Well, maybe you just need some help with this or that. Take advantage of it. Take care of yourself. As John mentioned, this is a marathon, not a sprint. The holiday is going to be tested